My name is Patranya Poonswan, founder of Patranya Media LLC. Welcome to Entrepreneur Showcase Series, brought to you by our sponsor, Parkway Media Partners. Our show spotlights entrepreneurs doing big things with the passion and why their stories are unique. And our guest today is Erika Luren. She is the founder and owner of Parasol Aesthetics, Dermatology, and Wellness. Erika, thank you so much for joining us in the studio today.
Thanks for having me on.
So great to have you. So Erika is a small business owner. She also has a medical background as well as a media background. So she kind of brings it all together, which is a really unique way to kind of showcase herself as an entrepreneur. So it's so exciting to have her in the studio as part of our series today. So Erika, first of all, talk to us about what you do. When you go out there and kind of tell your story and tell us about your brand, how do you describe yourself to people as an entrepreneur?
I'm a woman who wears many hats, I will say. So first of all, I'm a mom. I have two crazy teenagers.
Yes, a busy working mom. That's
Yes.
definitely one way to describe you.
Yes. And I started my med spa it's been almost a year now, but I've had little entrepreneurial things all along. Like I started my skincare line several years ago because I wanted to provide a line of potent, high-quality botanicals for individuals for anti-aging. And I wanted to be something affordable because a lot of brands, like even their vitamin C's are $150. So my goal was to keep things like 50 and under, but still have all the hot new ingredients. And that really was a fruition of my patients. Like that pushes me a lot. It helps develop me. But I noticed I had a lot of patients who either were older and maybe they were like, ex-military, they were on a limited income, but they still want to look good. So it was like, how can I provide for this population that I'm serving in a better way than what's out there?
All right. So if people don't know, you own Parasol Aesthetics, Dermatology, and Wellness, which is this med spa clinic that is based right here in Las Vegas. And as you said, you just celebrated 1 year anniversary of this clinic. So talk to us about, and you told us a little bit about, who you want to serve, but what about your training that kind of brought you about, say, this is where you want to go with your career to start this clinic? And you said you had a medical background.
Yes. Yeah. So I started out in nursing and I had a full tuition scholarship to Ohio State. So that was great. Otherwise, who knows how I would have gotten here. But then I worked in neonatal intensive care unit, and it was like, I love babies, and I just thought, I'm going to snuggle babies all day, but it wasn't well thought out. Like I ended up there, and it could be very sad, watching my little patients pass away, and I was like, there's no way I can do this the rest of my life. Like my heart couldn't take it. And I'm like, I want to be in medicine. I love the science of it, but I want to do something where people are happy and they walk out alive and smiling and things like that. So I went back to school to be an NP and decided I would start in dermatology. And from dermatology, I learned aesthetics and wellness and anti-aging. And it's great because, I have happy patients. I have people who feel better about themselves after they leave. And it's a very positive atmosphere. So.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the ways that you describe yourself as an anti-aging and wellness expert, right?
Yes.
And talk to me about promoting yourself in that way as an entrepreneur, obviously with healthcare background, beauty, but anti-aging is kind of the buzzword these days. How has that worked out in terms of getting your name out there as an anti-aging expert?
Well, I believe because my foundation is so well-rounded. I started out in dermatology, so I learned about the skin, the layers, and going deep. And, I was doing procedures where I was cutting people open and pulling things out and seeing how things function inside. So knowing how things are working from the inside and how you're aging and how the bone's getting thinner as you age and you're losing fat pads and how they're shifting has helped me with everything I'm doing in aesthetics and anti-aging, because I also know what affects that skin and the bones. It's like hormones, it's weight gain, it is like just changes over time as you get into like later decades in life. So I have a much better understanding of that, like just knowing the skin. Because I always say, too, the skin is the window to the body. So I think I take that with me in everything that I do.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the goal. As a business owner, you're trying to always let people know that you're adding value, right? Like you're helping people in some ways. And for you, just comes in the healthcare background. But, how has that been? I mean, just working as a nurse practitioner, being in the world, dermatology, healthcare, working for other healthcare businesses, and then now evolving in the past year to start your own. What would you say was the biggest challenge for you to start this business and to run this clinic?
I think it was fear of like going out on my own. Like I knew what I can do and I did believe in myself, but it is scary to like take that leap of faith. And I'd worked for several different practices over the years, and I saw so many things that were going on that I wanted to change, and I had no control. And when I did started getting a little more entrepreneurial, there was this glass ceiling where, maybe some of my employers felt threatened by what I was doing, that I was branching out. So there's no room for growth at some point. Once you've been doing, a certain career for a long time, you want to keep learning and developing. And the only way I could do that was by being an entrepreneur. So my goal when I left the job I was at, I was, thinking, well, if this is going to work financially for one, and I gave myself like 2 weeks, and I just kind of put it into the universe. And in those 2 weeks, I made more than I had made in a whole month working for someone else.
Wow.
Just through word of mouth.
So that paid off.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was like my sign from the universe. I was like, I'm meant to do this.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what entrepreneurs, you go into it just kind of like you said, leap of faith, right? You're jumping into something, not really sure if you can do it, but I think that's the key, right? Is just deciding to do it and just do it, and just finding that motivation to keep going forward. And that was your experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think there's part of me too. I was like jokingly with myself. I'm like, well, if this doesn't work out, there's always a job at like McDonald's or Subway. I can find something to get me by until I think of my next great idea.
Yeah.
You just have to have faith in yourself that even if you fail that first time, you can work through it and like get back on your feet and try again until you like keep, find something that's going to work. So.
Right. So, just being in it in the past year now, I mean, what do you think was the biggest lesson and biggest takeaway that you got from it that maybe you can pass along to other entrepreneurs as well who are thinking of starting their own business?
I would say even before going out on your own, the business really begins even a year or two before you actually open your doors, because you should be researching. I think people go into things without a lot of knowledge. So research the industry. Who are your competitors? Like, how can you provide a better service? What's needed for marketing? What kind of, entry amount of finance do you need to get things started, and equipment? Like, have all that ready before you even like jump in. So.
Yeah, no, I think that is key. I think a lot of entrepreneurs go and like, oh, I think I know how to do this, without really preparing when they're, at their old job or whatever, and to get into it. And I always say, give yourself, that year before while you have a job, right? To prepare yourself. And you said that was crucial in you kind of succeeding that first year.
Yes, because I was always thinking about it. And even the jobs I was in before, I always thought about how can I make this better? And you keep those ideas in your head until one day you can eventually use them.
Yeah. Anything that you would have changed that you looking back is like, maybe I've done this, or do it a different way, or did it earlier, anything like that kind of popped into your mind right now?
I think I wish I would have had the courage to have went on my own a bit earlier, and maybe we crave stability as humans, but sometimes our greatest endeavors are created from chaos. It's created from movement and change. So really learning to embrace the chaos that will be a creative process in the end, like being more prone and apt to accept that.
And, and I think, part of your success too, that I've seen is the fact that you really work on getting your stories out there, especially on social media, and getting, putting your branding out there. What has been kind of your secret, you think? Because a lot of people, part of this podcast is about showing how your stories are unique, right? And I think that's something that you have to do is like, how is your med spa? How is your clinic? How is yourself as an entrepreneur different for other people? So how are you able to kind of work that? What was kind of your secret?
I think the secret was really just being myself and allowing who I am to shine through the business. So there were so many years where you have to be so like buttoned up because you're working for someone else and you're following by their rules. I'm like, these are now my rules. It's like my place, and I can let my personality and who I am shine and just be me, and people can choose to like it or not. And those who see me, come in, and I'm the same person in office as you see on camera or on social media. I'm kind of nerdy, kind of goofy. So,
No, I love that. And you brought up a good point of being authentic because, I do a lot of media training and people's like, no, I don't want to, I'm too scared to be myself. People won't, relate to me, or I'm not confident enough. But you feel like when you're out there, especially because you do these videos on your Facebook pages and your Instagram, and I think that's the key, right? You just have to, even if it's not perfect, you just have to put yourself out there.
yes, definitely. Like, you have to be comfortable in your own skin. You have to be at that point where you don't care. Yeah, there are going to be some backlash from some people always, but you have to be able to just brush things off and move on. So.
Yeah, no, and that's great. And, I know you work in the world of healthcare and anti-aging and beauty. So a lot of that is something that is very visual. Right. And so how much do you think of that as an entrepreneur that are you showing off your clients in these videos, or a lot of it is you telling the story? What's kind of been your recipe for choosing how to portray how your business is viewed by the public?
I do a little bit of both because some of my products are the actual patient. So it is like before and after photos of, what I've done in my work with like fillers or Botox or like PDO, like non-surgical facelifts. So it's showing that. But the other like major component is really education. So that would be the part that would be me because, knowing what I know and having the foundation in aesthetics and anti-aging, like teaching other people, like how do you take care of yourself outside of the clinic? What's out over the counter that you can use, and exercise and healthy eating. And then, coming into me and doing the prescription kind of component, what can I offer you on that level? So it's really a lot of teaching because people need to learn these things so that they can get the right treatments.
And I know, you're talking about public education. Part of what you've been doing too is going out there and doing TV interviews, radio interviews and press interviews. How has that helped you to kind of get the word out? Has that been positive in terms of getting out there, and how was your experience doing media?
Definitely. I love it. So my second master's was in journalism communication. So I've always loved writing. I always thought that one day I would put together like the medical component and the media component. So I'm finally doing that. And I think it's a necessity, really. You have to have like a voice to the people. You can have a great business that looks really fancy and, like all the bells and whistles. But if no one knows you're there, if your voice is not out there, they're not going to come, So you have to be an advocate for yourself and what you're doing.
Yeah, that's really true. And I was at a talk earlier this year, and I said, you can be doing amazing things and have a great business and be talented in what you do. But if you're not telling people about it and they don't know that you're there, or your business is here in Vegas, or what your services are, then that you lose a whole chunk of people who could be coming to you as clients.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Has there been like what's kind of been the best way, like any kind of personal story, like how people found you, that would be kind of a good lesson for maybe other entrepreneurs out there?
I've actually had people, now that I've left some of the former places I was at, they've found me on social media. And I actually had a patient recently find me who I worked on in Ohio in dermatology.
Wow.
And she was moving here, and she's like, can I come see you for Botox? I'm moving to Nevada. And that was like 10 years ago, and she still remembered me.
Wow.
And I was like, it kind of was just very humbling and just flattering that she remembered me, she liked my work, and she searched me out. So.
And that's the power of social media, right? Because you can be based somewhere, but your work can be seen from anywhere. You never know.
Yes.
Even if, because you're a brick and mortar store where you're here in Vegas, they could be coming here or moving here, and you have no idea.
Yes. So you definitely like need that online presence. This is like the modern way of marketing, I think. So.
Yeah, and it's great because I always tell people social media. I mean, that's essentially a free service. You put it out there, and the results, like what happened to you, can be really successful. So that's great. So what are your goals now? You just had your 1 year anniversary. What are you looking forward to doing in the next year as an entrepreneur?
So I definitely would like to do a lot more education and media, being out there, being that voice to the people about what are the new like updates in like hormone therapy and weight loss and everything that I'm doing, all these like new things that are coming out and new medications. So I think those sort of things are exciting. Like when I find something new and I'm like, I can share it with people and like, this is what we have now. Like, let's try it. So that sort of thing. Doing a lot of speaking engagements just about not even just being in medicine, but evolving from where I came from in Cleveland, Ohio, being, single parent family and not having a lot of money, like going from there to what I'm able to do now. It's been like a blessing to share that with others who are, hopeful entrepreneurs or, wanting to do something in life, that journey of how to uplift and how to do and how to make it, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's so inspiring to see you doing so much, just putting yourself out there, obviously in the media, and also, being a single mom, keeping the business going. What would you say, how do you do all that? Like, how do you do it all, I guess, in some ways? And because I think a lot, not just women, but men, people who are trying to do it all, just having a tough time. But what's your secret?
I'd say it's definitely a lot of work. And you have to realize that your day doesn't end at 5 o'clock when you're an entrepreneur. Like yesterday, I'm like emailing my secretary stuff. And I'm like, you don't have to check it till Monday, but I want to do it now. But I worked all day on Sunday, just doing computer stuff. So knowing you have to put in the hours and then really kind of looking at your schedule and scheduling time in for, this day I'm going to do this with the kids and, having, if you have help, that's like great. But like for me, it definitely is a lot of that calendar scheduling and trying to figure out. And my kids are good at reminding me like constantly, like, Mom, don't forget, I have this practice. So that's good.
And you have 2 kids, right? A son and a daughter.
Yes.
And obviously they're an inspiration to you, right? Because a lot of times people think, gosh, what is your motivation? What keeps you going? And I would think your children are among them.
Oh, definitely, yes. I mean, you always want to make sure that your kids have a better life than you had. And although some of what I went through gave me a lot of grit, and I definitely want them to be like hard workers, but I think they also learn through seeing, like, as a parent, you are somewhat of a role model to your children. They're watching you. Even if they don't say they know what you're doing, they see how hard you're working. So I want them to learn that, like to be hard workers, to strive, have ambition and goals. So.
Yeah, that is great. And, I always love talking to women business owners. And next month is actually October, highlighting small business owners who are women, and who are doing amazing things like you out there making an impact in the community. And, especially living here in Vegas, I want to ask you about this because you go out to a lot of media events and social events and charity events. How important is that for entrepreneurs to, because that's taking a chunk of your time, right? Like getting out there and doing those things. But is that important? I mean, how crucial is that to kind of be part of that world in terms of being a successful entrepreneur in a city like Las Vegas?
Well, I feel like for me, being in aesthetics is, aesthetics, fashion, and all of that kind of really run together well. So for me, I think it's quite important to kind of be meeting the people that I'm taking care of. Like these are my patients and my clients that oftentimes I'm mingling with, like when I'm out at these events. So for me, I think it's quite important. There are different ways that people will get to like from point A to point B. But definitely if you're in beauty, fashion, aesthetics, I think it's definitely a good idea.
Yeah. It's work too, right? You have to kind of allot your time and making sure you get out there. But, I think for me as an entrepreneur as well, I feel like that's part of the business. Now I kind of get it. They say you have to get out there and meet people and network and so people know, like you said, so people know what you are and what you do.
Definitely.
Yeah. Gosh. It is fun, but it does take time, and you need to work. Right?
Yes.
So, but no, you do it well, and you blend it well. But I'm sure I share your pain sometimes. Like, gosh, I just don't have time. I don't have enough hours in the day to do everything.
Or when you finally do have time off, you just want to kind of be a hermit.
It's true. Yes, totally, totally. We have a few minutes left in the show here, and I wanted to talk about the impact that you're making. Obviously, you do a lot of things as an entrepreneur in terms of running your business, trying to keep your med spa going and trying to, turn a profit and all that. But how do you kind of keep going and just say, hey, I'm doing something good for the community as well? So how do you kind of keep that balance?
I've been involved with a lot of different charities throughout the years. I started out in pageants, and we are involved with lots of charities and pageants. It just becomes, pretty second nature. So I have been in the community doing things like that, especially anything with like women, children focused. I very much love. So I've done Make-A-Wish Foundation and Create a Change Now, which helps with like gardens in schools and healthy eating, and Project Maryland, which helps with like period supplies. So I very much have a heart for women and kids, because I just feel like, being a single mom and like going through what I've gone through, like you develop more compassion for other women who might be, not have as much of an opportunity as you, or kind of struggling and things like that.
I love it. I love it, because I think that that is important. At the end of the day, you feel like, aside from being a mom and giving yourself in that way, how do we do things more just outside of ourselves, but for our community as well? And you definitely find ways to do it, which is amazing. And the last question I like to ask, my guests here on the show is, what is your superpower? What do you think is the thing that kind of fuels you, both as an entrepreneur, as a person, as a mom? What do you feel is the superpower that makes you unique?
I feel most people have said they're surprised at how calm I can be, like under pressure. Like, someone's having a seizure in the front office and they run and grab me. But I think it's important, especially maybe that first job I had being in the NICU, where, sometimes those small babies would start to go towards the light and turn gray and stop breathing, and the parents would be right there, and I'd have to resuscitate them back to life. And it was such a high pressure situation. There's probably something I took from that, of like staying calm to keep everyone else around me calm. Like, you have to kind of someone has to be in control. And I think I've got that ability to make people at peace, and my patients, or whether it's, a crazy situation going on. So
that's amazing. That's a good superpower to have, for sure. All right. Well, Erika, thank you so much for your time and for being on the show with us today. Erika Luren, again, is the owner and founder of Parasol Aesthetics, Dermatology, and Wellness right here in Las Vegas. So best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for watching this episode of Entrepreneur Showcase Series. And until next time, get out there and share your story. Have a great day.